In the medieval world, relics were more than sacred objects. They were conduits of divine power. To touch the bones of a saint, to swear an oath upon a holy artifact, was to bind oneself to God Almighty. William the Conqueror understood this better than most. When securing his claim to the English throne, he turned to the sacred, not just as a symbol, but as a tool of control. In 1064, Harold Godwinson, England's most powerful noble, found himself in William's court. His circumstances remain debated. Was he there as an emissary, or as a political prisoner forced to play along? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: William was prepared. Harold would swear an oath, and not just any oath, but one sanctified by the most revered relics of Christendom. But what relics lay before Harold? The answer is as revealing as it is unsettling. The chest was not simply pulled from William's personal collection. The relics it contained were gathered from across Normandy, a process that required coordination, persuasion, and likely coercion. Edicts must have been issued, urging clergy to relinquish their most sacred treasures. But this was no simple request. Relics were not just religious artifacts. They were sources of power and prosperity. Pilgrims traveled great distances to venerate them, leaving offerings of coin and devotion. For a monastery to surrender a relic was to risk financial loss, spiritual depletion, and the ire of its patrons. How did William persuade them? Did he promise their return? Did he offer compensation? Or did his knights simply take what was needed, securing divine artifacts in the name of conquest? There is little record of how these relics were documented, if at all. The image of a knight meticulously taking inventory of a saint's bones is almost laughable. But without order, how could these sacred objects ever be returned? Perhaps they weren't meant to be. And then, the question of storage. The Bayeux Tapestry offers us one of the few visual clues: a chest resting on a chair covered in gold cloth. It appears small, portable, yet powerful. But inside, relics that had once been housed in elaborate reliquaries now lay together in one single crowded space. Were they packed with care, or hastily stacked atop one another? Were they wrapped in cloth labelled with their origins? Or was this an act of sacrilege? Sacred bones tossed together in the name of political power. Whatever the case, when Harold placed his hands upon that chest, he was touching not just one relic, but many. The sheer volume amplified the weight of his oath, an unbreakable vow bound by the divine. But what Harold did not know, at least according to some accounts, was that these relics had been concealed. The cloth that covered them hid their true nature until the moment the vow was sealed. Only then did William unveil what Harold had sworn upon. It is said that Harold was sorely alarmed at the sight. If he broke his word, he would not just betray William, he would damn his soul. And yet break it he did. 2 years later, when Harold took the English throne, he shattered the vow he had made in Normandy. To him it was a promise made under duress, one that could not hold. But to William it was treason of the highest order, and with it he had all the justification he needed to lay claim to England by force. The relics had served their purpose. They had legitimized a conquest, and soon England would feel the weight of their power.